So I guess we would call this flat Stanley. Is that what the Stanley Cup is now that the Tampa Bay Lightning got their hands on it?
We can't have nice things, Rick.
What? See? This applies. I'm sorry. You all enjoyed the boat parade, those of you who braved the weather and all that. But listen, you can't damage the greatest trophy in sport. You know, it's not the way it's supposed to go. I mean, everybody was talking about they got divers, you know, ready to jump in the water if somebody pulls a Tom Brady and tries to toss the damn thing. Well, they didn't do that. They apparently banged it up pretty good, though. Did you see the picture? We had one in the Tampa Bay Times. We actually wrote a separate story about this. It's amazing to me. And I can appreciate it's going to be sent back to Montreal. It's kind of like, I suppose it's not a big fix. But, yeah, they dented it, unspecified damages. But you look at it, one side is flat of the top bowl there. And as we go to Montreal, and it's not supposed to impact the beginning of their Cup tour that they have planned this weekend. So I guess they're going to do it pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's supposed to be back like this week. They'll send it to Montreal.
Yeah.
Quick, tune up, and on the way back it'll be.
They're switching out that top bowl. I got news for you. They're just going to switch it out. This is no repair. This is a switch out. And they said that somehow at the end, the picture that you saw where it was damaged is being held by Pat Maroon. Now, I'm not going to say Pat's the culprit here, but it's flat on one side, man. Somebody smashed that thing. It had gone through a lot, though. It had been passed from watercraft to watercraft. It started, took a ride on the Sea-Doo with Alex Killorn and Kucherov. And then, you know, how many people drank from that thing? I mean, it was fans and everybody else. So, listen, as boat parades go, the day started out pretty nice. It was a beautiful morning. Tons of people, I suppose, on the river. You were there.
I was. I took my boys down to see the boat parade, so they had a blast.
And a lot of boats. And I thought they were going to kind of cut down on that, but there was a flotilla out there. I mean, there were just, you know, people with their own personal watercraft. So I think the boys are still drinking. I think it's safe to say they're still partying.
I hope they are. I mean,
yeah,
they deserve it.
They absolutely deserve it. And like I said, nobody does it like hockey players, right? So they're bringing it home. But I will say this. The love for this hockey team, and everybody loves a winner. I get that. But, you know, back-to-back, the boat parade, uniquely Tampa. It was a Monday. Not everybody's off work, obviously. The kids are out of school, but it was, you know, it's a 90-degree day. Weather threatening later in the afternoon. And you know what? The town showed out, man. They showed up and they showed out. Somebody said that they thought it was a bigger crowd than what even the Bucks had, which was sort of at the end of the pandemic. Not the end. We're still in it. But
yeah, we didn't have vaccines out yet, or they were just starting.
We're just starting, or, yeah, people were coming out and separating.
Yeah.
And you do stuff outside, but you couldn't do it inside. That sort of thing. But pretty packed, right? From what you could see.
Oh, it was packed where we were at. And not just the sides, but the water was packed. At times, It was a little hard to tell, like, you know, which boats were part of the official entourage and which ones weren't.
Right. Because everybody on the boats, if they were their own rudder, they had the Lightning flag, so it looked like all of it was part of the parade, when in fact it wasn't. But, you know, listen, the Stars, again, were the ones you would expect. I mean, I think they had a boat with the uniquely Russian players, with Sergachev and Kucherov and Vasilevsky, who put the MVP trophy over his head. Did you see that?
I did.
He was a trophy head. That thing's hollow in the middle, apparently.
Yeah, you don't realize that. I mean, you know, you never see the inside.
Right, which was kind of funny. So those guys were having a good time. Cooch did not disappoint.
Unreal,
man.
Unreal.
He's gone from number one BS to unreal. His interviews were great. He dumped. He got one local anchor with a bunch of beer dumped over his head at the end of the interview.
Yeah, I think it was Channel 8. That was the interview that he kept. It was like in 1 minute said unreal.
Oh,
like
it's unreal.
Times.
It's unreal. You know, it's been unreal.
Fans were unreal. The team's unreal.
That's right. What do you think of the parade?
Parade's unreal.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then, you know, I guess, you know, what? You know, listen, leave it to all the fans to show up for the Lightning, and then the real Lightning shows up. I mean, what effects, right? What effects that this organization went to?
They spared no expense.
Nothing. They got real clouds with real bolts of lightning coming out of them. And so I'm watching from home, and in the meantime, I start to hear rumbling. I'm in North Tampa, and I start the greater Lutz area, and I start to hear the rumbling outside. And I look to the south, and I go, whoa, like there's some big storms coming. And they flip on the radar, and you can see it all the way below St. Pete, coming all the way up north here. And sure enough, now they canceled the part that was scheduled to be at the park, but the fans didn't all leave. It's one thing to say, "Hey, folks, it's over." It's another thing when players are still getting off the boat and celebrating with the fans. So there were still a number of them out there, and it made for some interesting.
Well, they didn't cancel it right away.
Oh, okay. So it started on. Well, they were a little bit late, but it started, and then they called
it was a little bit late, and then the players were there. Except then that's when the downpour started. So a lot of fans took cover, but fans stayed.
Right. Okay.
Fans stayed. Then the players started coming out with the trophy and kind of acknowledging the crowd, but it was still raining. But there were more storms popping up, so eventually they said, "Okay, we've got to call this because there's more."
All right,
storms
so it started just in the rain, and then
they never actually started that ceremony.
Okay,
because the
players were there.
Yeah, the players were there. Actually, a lot of the chairs on the stage got blown over, and the stands for where they were going to put the Stanley Cup got blown over when that first storm came through.
It was already damaged. It wouldn't have mattered.
Well, I mean, the cup wasn't on at that point, but
I know.
I don't think the cup was damaged at that point yet, but.
I wonder who got it. I don't know.
Well, the picture is Maroon holding it, but that doesn't mean
he's holding it. I don't want to blame him, but he was holding it.
Yeah, I don't know if he did it or not.
So the Lightning come, and then there was like some great some stuff I saw on Twitter of like Yanni Gourde doing a personal water slide on the grass.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's he's carrying a Lightning flag. Try that. Hold a Lightning flag, a big one, and then dive head first, holding the flag on the grass. I also saw, who did I see? Did I see Cooch holding a Lombardi trophy too? Was that out there?
That wasn't today. That was a picture from the day before.
Oh, okay.
He was on a boat with both trophies at some point. I don't know exactly when, but
so it wasn't today.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. So
yeah, well, they must have gotten that from the Bucks or somebody.
Yeah, or one of the Bucks players were with them on a boat and celebrating.
Yeah. Well, the dirty little cigar. Like, there's one Stanley Cup, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and I think that's why there's one guy that's responsible for it. He flies all around, all that stuff. And what they do with the Stanley Cup is they have the rings with the names of the teams, right, that win.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the years go on, they replace those rings with the most recent team, correct?
Right.
And they move it down.
Yeah, like Phil Esposito is like 7 or 8 years away from being no longer on the
off
cup.
the cup. Yeah, and then they put that into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Correct, in Toronto, yes.
Right. So it's a living trophy in a sense that, as more teams get on there, they replace the rings. But there's one trophy, my point is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you have, the guy that falls around the cup.
Thus, it's got to go back for repairs.
Now it's got to be repaired. And so, but with Lombardi, because somebody has asked me this, like, well, how is that the Lombardi trophy? And my guess is it probably is, but it may not be. Because with the Lombardi trophy, they make replicas. Like, there's the one they hand to you, at the end of the Super Bowl, and that goes to the owner, and usually the owner puts it in the facility, right? That's where the Super Bowl 37 trophy is. I assume that's where Super Bowl 55 trophy will be at the facility. However, it's not the Stanley Cup. It doesn't weigh it's not the monstrosity that Stanley Cup is. And although it's sterling silver and it's expensive, they will make replicas of those trophies for sometimes owners, sometimes some players have had them before. Now, they're not cheap. I'm not suggesting that, but you will see, for example, the San Francisco 49ers have won 5 Super Bowls, and if you go to their facility near San Jose, wherever they are now, because they moved obviously from, their facility is
Santa Clara, right?
Yeah, it's always been where it's been. I mean, they always train in Santa Clara, but if you go down there to their facility, you'll see the Super Bowl trophies. Well, Eddie DeBarlo, who was the owner at the time, his sister now has it now, Denise, but he has 5 Super Bowl trophies. Like, he has those trophies. So they've had more made. My point is, sometimes there are more than one Super Bowl trophy, more than one Lombardi. Where
and every team gets to keep it. It's not like it goes.
That's right. It's yours. That's right.
Yeah.
And if there needs to be more made for that particular team, or if, say, the owner wants one, or I don't know, the quarterback maybe, he can have one made, or the coach, whatever. It's possible to do that. But only one Stanley Cup, and they damaged it, so that's unfortunate. John Cooper was in a Gronk shirt. I thought that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Showing a little unity among the teams.
I do like how these teams all get behind each other. I think that's awesome
cool
in a community.
Yeah, it's cool.
Not that this is the only community that happens, but it's been really cool, especially as all three teams are winning right now.
Right.
It's really fun to see the players get behind them.
I think we talked about this. I know Tom and I have a little bit, but because I've always been curious. Look, in as much as they're all in the community, it's entertainment dollar, right? Tampa Bay, not awash with money by any means necessarily, but they're all fighting sort of for the same space. Now they have different seasons, but they overlap obviously, and so you go, well, you want your product to have the most eyeballs, and there's different sizes obviously of arenas and how many times they play and that sort of thing. So obviously it's a whole set of circumstances there, but people have asked, like, does it help, for example, the Rays or the Bucks if the Lightning win the Stanley Cup? Or does it help the Lightning or the Rays if the Bucks win the Super Bowl? Because wouldn't that then, compete harder for the dollar if, say, just one team was great and the other two are right? But the reality is that, no, it helps all of them. The more success each team has, it creates an appetite for sports and for that fandom, right, that transfers from sport to sport. And it when you're successful, everybody wants to be part of it. And the more teams that are successful, everybody wants to join in. And so what the teams will tell you is, no, it's a good thing. It's great when the other teams win, because it rolls into our season, and that enthusiasm and that appetite, that thirst for success in sports, and the sharing that you have as a community is all the same, even if the sports are different. So I thought that's interesting that, they kind of compete, but then the rising tide, right? They kind of lift all boats. And I think, look, the Bucks, to win one, we know how hard it is to win one championship. Tom Brady did the impossible, I thought, last year, coming in here, pandemic, 43. We'd been through all this. And he wins a home Super Bowl. But, with the Lightning winning 2 in a row, it's kind of like, okay, you're up, let's see what you can do now. And I still think that the Stanley Cup's one of the hardest trophies to win in sports, just because of the grind and the attrition and the injuries. We saw all the guys that were broken up at the end of that thing. Somebody had a cast on their arm today, I think, by the way. I can't remember which player it was. That was kind of a surprise.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah. I think it was one of the defensemen, but or a sling or something. But it's just kind of interesting. Speaking of the Rays, they have a new All-Star.
They do, and it's a guy we've talked about that didn't think would get the All-Star nod, because you don't see a lot of, I don't know if you call him a middle reliever, because he kind of does everything.
Just a bullpen guy, right? He's not a closer.
Yeah, he's opens, he's closed, he's in the middle, he's high leverage, he's pitched every inning this year. Andrew Kittredge as Garrett Cole, and there's another pitcher. There's 2 pitchers named to the All-Star team today. Kittredge being one of them. Garrett Cole's not participating, and there's another one.
He just started in Houston. That's why he's not eligible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So the Rays now with 3 All-Stars, and of course their whole coaching staff and everything's there. So if you see the official AL All-Star picture, it's all the coaches in the front, so it's a lot of Rays uniforms. And Wendell and Zunino there. Unfortunately, Kittredge's not in the picture because he just got named this evening, but
it's really cool for him, and I think, and obviously Kevin Cash can, I guess, when players have to opt out, he has the ability, or at least the staff does, or however they choose the next guy, to get a need player or need pitcher or whatever, which is great, and Kittredge deserves it. I would think the way baseball is going, though, bullpens are being used in such a variety of ways by not just the Rays but other teams as well, that it makes sense, right? That, you've got a team that's that successful that uses openers or has a by the committee bullpen. Like, for example, the Rays, I think they've gone 21, 22 innings in a row without allowing a run as a staff in the bullpen. I mean, not the starters. And so, a guy like Kittredge is a major part of baseball. I mean, he's a major. It used to be it's like you got your starters and your closers, right, and that made up your all-star team, right? Mm-hmm. You'd have a bunch of ninth inning guys that would be in the bullpen for the all-star team and a bunch of starters. Well, I think they should make room for guys like Kittredge because, they're getting big outs during games too. And when you pitch as well as he has, he certainly deserves it. Came off an injury. He was injured last year. I mean, it's quite a comeback for him, this season. And where would they be without him when you lose, guys like Anderson? I mean, they've had so many injuries to their pitching staff and their bullpen, guys on and off the IL. I mean, Kittredge has been lights out. So good for him. And good for Kevin Cash and his staff to be the manager of this team. I think that's cool too for Rays fans who aren't going to be represented by now just 3 All-Stars, which isn't bad, by the way. But Joey Wendell, Kittredge, and then Mike Zunino. How great is it to see Cash up there? He was up there on the podium because this is, for all intents and purposes, this is the Shohei Ohtani All-Star game. I mean, you should just call it that, and rightfully so. I mean, he's the biggest damn deal in baseball right now. Unfortunately, he plays for the Angels, which, most of their games start at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, and so a lot of people don't get to see him every night. The tear he's been on, leading the major league in home runs, one of the top pitchers in baseball. So Cash, and I thought this was just a great idea. It's like, you know what? This guy's had an unprecedented season. He's an Ruthian-type talent, and we're going to celebrate that. And the way we're going to do it is he's going to start for the American League on the mound. And then, he's also batting leadoff. How cool is that? I love that. I love that for Cash.
Well, and it's to make sure he gets to bat and pitch too. I mean,
right.
Part of it is to show off both sides because he's phenomenal at both.
Right. And he's only got to pitch an inning, so he'd come out of the game after that, but he'll be able to hit.
Yeah, no, it's great. Unfortunately, number one BS tonight that Ohtani didn't win the home run derby. But
I know. Oh, it wasn't for a lack of trying, though. This poor guy.
Oh, he was spent, man. What's he going to have tomorrow for us or tonight in the All-Star
I don't
game?
know. It's like you just wasted your starting pitcher. He went extra innings, as they say, a couple of extra rounds. They didn't decide it. It was him and Juan Soto, I guess, with Washington were swinging it off. And they tied. And Ohtani got off to a horrific start. Like a minute and a half in, he's got like 3 or 4 or 5 home runs, something like that. And he needed like 22 or so, I think, to at least tie 23 to advance. And he tied him with a late round. I mean, he really came on there late. And then they go to extra swings, and then I think they tied that. And then you get three swings. And Soto went yard all 3 swings. And Ohtani, first swing he lined one. So I think he was relieved. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd be like, look, I'm not going to do this again because I'd have to hit 3 out of 3 pitches here, and then we'd go a 4th round. Like, forget it. So, but he was gassed, man. It was fun watching them though, and they hit some. I mean, Colorado, right, with the elevation, the ballpark, all of that. I mean, there was some titanic blasts, well over 500 feet in just about every round. How about your boy Pete Alonso from Plant High School?
So as we tape this, we're waiting for the finals. He's now made the finals, but that first round,
35. Are you kidding me?
He was crushing them.
It's almost every swing.
I mean, Salvador Perez had like 17 through the 3 minutes with a minute to go, and he needs 18 more to catch him in a minute.
Yeah.
And 17 was pretty much what everybody was. Yeah. Everyone was about 15, 16 as you got to the first.
And then you got the extra minute, right? Yeah.
And he was at 17, had no shot.
This guy bashes 35. What a prodigious home run hitter. So he could win his second one as we're doing the podcast. They're still in the middle of it.
Yeah, and Trey Mancini's story is awesome.
Oh, he's over stage 3 cancer.
Yeah. Then to be in the home run derby is just awesome.
Yeah, no, and he's smashing some balls too. He's having a good day doing it. And he's got the swing, and You told me that he called his high school coach. Is that what it was?
I think it's his college coach. Is
college
the story
coach,
I heard?
okay.
Yeah, from I think he went to Notre Dame.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And so, and they were telling the story on ESPN when he called him. The coach was like, sees his number come up, and you're thinking, oh no, it's something with your cancer's back or something like that. And he calls him and says, hey, will you pitch to me in the home run derby? It's like, oh, that's a good call.
Yeah, right. I mean, anything after that is great. Yeah, this guy's name is Ristano.
Yep.
And, boy, you talk about the perfect – I know why he called him. He's the perfect BP pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
He puts that thing right in the same spot every time. It's hard to repeat. I was a prolific, I want to let you know, of all the great non-things I did in college baseball. I had guys begging me to throw BP because I could throw a great BP. You just put the L screen about 45 feet away from the home plate, and I'd sit there all day and pump strikes. And it's a talent, probably my best talent in college baseball. But I didn't pitch, but I was a good BP, good BP pitcher to the point where I had guys that say, "No, Strauss, he's throwing to me." They would fight over me, but it's a talent. Like it's hard to do. It's hard to lay it in, especially when guys are trying to hit home runs because you got to elevate the ball a little bit because you want the swing to automatically get the ball up in the air. And so, you waste time if you're throwing it down or you're throwing it, in places where they can't get lift. And, this guy was prolific at it. He was really good. So, yeah, it's, hey, I like All-Star Weekend. I'll watch the game. At least it's a baseball game. The rules are pretty much the same.
It is the one All-Star game I like the best.
Yeah, because it resembles the sport.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I like for the award shows we talked about, I like the Grammys because the artists actually perform.
They play music. And in this one, it's going to be a pitcher on the mound throwing 100 miles an hour against a hitter that's got a swing and can make contact. And so, yeah, it looks like baseball. But, it used to be, when they were having these games and some of them were going into extra innings or late and not much results and things like that. There wasn't anything. And then I guess for a while there, it determined home field advantage.
Well, yeah, that was after the tie in Milwaukee, Bud Selig's hometown in 2003 or something like that. He was
embarrassed by it. And I never liked that idea that you would, you use the All-Star game to determine which league gets home field.
But before that, it was basically alternating. The American League one year, the National League the next. So
right.
I don't know if I liked the All-Star game deciding it, but it wasn't like they were deciding it based on anything on the field.
Right.
Prior to that.
And so now is it just who has the best record?
So back in 2000, I think it was 17, they changed it to where now it's the team with the best regular season winning percentage is the home team in the World Series. So they did it from 2003 through I think 16, if I recall. And I read that somewhere recently, but so like for 13, 14 years they did it based on the All-Star game. Now it's back to not back to, it's the team with the best winning percentage, which I think is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would appreciate the days off. It's got to be exciting to be an All-Star. I mean, there's nothing like that, right? That honor and to hang out with the best players in the game. I mean, that would never get old to me. By the same token, you do a lot of baseball. What is 3 or 4 days off like at this point of the year for these guys?
Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I did the Braves and I traveled with the team, so I was there from spring training through. I mean, it's the only break you get for 7.5 months. That's more than a day. I mean, you're basically from mid-February till the end of September, and if you go in the postseason, you maybe go till late October.
Yeah.
I mean, and baseball is a grind. Days. It's a grind. I mean, the travel's not as bad at times as, say, like the NHL or NBA because you're not going every night. You're not like in a hotel one night.
You're in the same city for 3 days. Yeah. 4
Occasionally
days,
you get that 2-game series where you have a night game and a day game and you're in and out quick, but that doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
You can unpack your suitcase a little bit. You're going to be at the hotel room for generally 3 nights, maybe 4.
Right.
So it's the travel's not as bad, although it's a lot of late nights.
That's hockey, baseball anyway.
Well,
though,
like
right?
hockey, I know now a lot of teams, and I'm not sure the NBA, but a lot of them now, if you have an off day the next day, if you don't have a back-to-back, you'll wait till the next day to travel during the day.
Mm-hmm.
So you get so you'll play a game, say, in Chicago, and you'll go back to the hotel, stay there that night, and then the next day at 10 o'clock or maybe after practice, whatever. Then you're going to fly to Minnesota or Detroit
That's
or wherever
so
you're going
much
next,
better.
where you're
Yeah.
keeping a normal sleep pattern. Now, if you have a game the next night, you got to go that night because the leagues want you there as quick as
Want you in the
possible
city.
to make
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, but sleep has been determined as such a big factor in athletics now, in regular sleep schedules and this. So teams are trying to do that more often, where they'll travel during the day instead of at the night after the game if they can. Rid of those getting to the hotel at 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I mean, you'd rather spend the night and travel the next day just to stay on your own sleep schedule. It's getting in so late at night, and it just throws everything off. So I much prefer that. When the brief time that I covered, like with football, I mean, we probably spend the least amount of time on the road, which is a good thing. You can be around your family and all of that. The bad thing is that you rarely unpack your suitcase. It's like, we might, in some instances, we'll get to a city. If it's a night game in particular, and the Bucs had a bunch of them last year, I might get on a plane at 6 a.m. in Tampa, which means I'm up at 4, and fly to, and I'm not complaining, ladies and gentlemen. I have a dream job. I get it. Boo-hoo is me. But
doesn't mean there's not rough parts or hard parts.
No, but I'm just saying, the difference between
Right.
covering the two. So you and I'm not raising my hand to do 162 games or 80 something on the road either. But the difference is that you'll get to the city where they're playing that night, and sometimes you can't check in the hotel at 3 or 4 o'clock. Where you're there about an hour or two, and then you're at the stadium, work till after midnight. And if you're me, you've got to be back in Tampa for a 3 p.m. press conference, so you're taking the first flight out at maybe 6 a.m., so you might get 2 hours sleep. So, yeah, I'd much rather, have a whole night of sleep and travel the next day.
Yeah. Those are the players. I mean, Mark Topkin's travel schedule with baseball.
No, I'm talking about me.
Yeah, I'm saying Mark Topkin with baseball is a lot of games at, Thursday night at 7 o'clock. You're out of the stadium at midnight. And you're on a flight the next morning because you got to get to the next town.
And on those getaway days, it's tough. Now, a lot of the getaway days are afternoon games. Some of them are.
More of them now than there used to be because the players have kind of pushed for that.
But that's tough, too, because the night before you're working till 2 a.m., and then you'd be surprised how fast 10:30 comes when you got to be at the ballpark again.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're in a city if it's a 3 or 4 game series, you do have the sort of luxury of being in the same hotel for 3 or 4 nights, which is nice.
Yes.
But then you might be gone. We might be away from home for 10 days. And if it's a West Coast trip, the flight time and all that. So, yeah, I mean, there's a grind to everything, but the least amount of travel, particularly for the football players, is they just have to be in the city 24 hours before kickoff.
Yep,
that's their rule.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's really 10 road trips a year.
That's it.
And maybe, I guess you still have – there's 3 preseason games, so you're still going to have –
Yeah, but there's one or two. We have one in Houston. That's it.
That's because you're going on the road. You have 2 home games because you've got the 9th road game this year in the regular season.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So,
17 games, and the 9th one's on the road, and but it's it's still a grind for all these guys. It's a grind. So the couple days off, just to catch your breath and not think about baseball, or like I said, the only one that probably didn't want it to stop was Brendan Lau because he was so red hot. But aside from that, everybody else, a day has to feel like a week, when you're in that bubble and you're just kind of grinding like that. So
I know I got a request from Tommy, who listens to the podcast all the time, and I haven't responded yet, requesting us to get Dave Wills during the All-Star break. And those guys like to just step away for a few days.
You think?
And we'll get Dave on soon. We'll get Dave. That won't be a problem to get him on. But during the All-Star break, they like to really just kind of step away and recharge. And
I think Andy was going to see his parents, if I'm not mistaken, because I heard them talking about it.
I think so. In that regard, but I in the past have tried to get Andy and Dave to do some stuff during the All-Star break, and they haven't been. They've been nice about it, but they're not big fans. So I try to.
That's all they got.
I try to leave them alone during those breaks.
That's their time.
Yeah,
and you can certainly appreciate that. I'm coming off a vacation, and you're about to go on one here not too long, and believe me, you need to recharge. You need to be away. You can't be doing extra stuff or before you know it, it'll feel like you never really did it. And you never really took that break.
When I was young, I was like, I don't need vacation, and even when I
really
as a young boss, I mean, not saying I never took one, but it was like,
Well, you were probably the last to take one because you had to be responsible for everything.
Yeah,
right?
probably that. I mean, but it was like, you'd almost get annoyed sometimes when people take vacation because it means more work for others or this, that, and the other. But as I get older in this, it's like, you know what? People need to recharge. It's important.
They do.
When managing people, it's like I encourage them to take vacation and push them to
Absolutely.
and make sure they take it. And
Absolutely.
I'm one that, you're on vacation. I'm not reaching out to you unless it's absolutely necessary.
Right.
Tom Brady retires and you're on vacation, you're getting called. Other than that,
well,
we can deal with it.
Jameis Winston gets suspended 3 games. I'm in
one
Hawaii.
too, yeah.
I was doing that one.
You were on the plane.
Yeah, well, and I knew it. The funny thing about that
we had
story
talked about that for months ahead of time.
I predicted the very instant because there was only going to be, first of all, one day that I was going to be away from the continental United States when I was leaving. And I said, not only is it going to happen on that day, I said, it's going to happen when I'm over the Pacific Ocean. And we literally were taxiing down the runway in San Francisco Airport, about to lose all contact with any satellite or any kind of internet connection. I had, fortunately, I had enough insight and information I had already written most of the story. I just needed to know how many games. And so I'm confirming everything with different people. And
sir, you need to turn your cell phone off?
Yes. Yes, hey, you got to close that laptop. I had him come by and tell me that, and I was like, son of a, and it was so funny because I was in the jetway when my phone beeped, and I go, you won't believe this. She go, and my wife was like, really? And I go, I predicted it. We predicted it months in advance that this was going to be the moment that it happened. I'm just surprised it didn't happen when we were over the Pacific, but got the story in, and I think I did a couple shows from Hawaii.
You did a podcast. You weren't supposed to do the podcast that night.
I did a podcast, and I did Dan Patrick, as I recall.
I think you did.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny.
I did a couple of them. Hey, Danny, boy. So yeah, that was fun. Hey, I'm gonna make a U-turn here back to the Lightning. I just want to make sure people get this information again. If you've seen the Lightning, you've obviously enjoyed them. You went to the parade, even if you did, and you watched them on TV, you're a big fan. Please grab this book. It is amazing that the Tampa Bay Times has produced. Celebrate the Lightning's back-to-back cup. It's a hardcover collector's book. It's full of the best stories and photos from all my colleagues at the Tampa Bay Times. 160 pages. Perfect way to commemorate an unbelievable season. And just go to, here's the address, bolts.champsbook, that's plural.com to order. It's usually $39.95, but if you order it now, you'll save $10 and get it for $29.95. And that offer expires August 5th. So go to bolts.champsbook.com, and believe me, you will not be disappointed with all the great photos and stories of the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I have last year's book. I have last year's Bucks book, too. They're both phenomenal.
It's
I
right in front of me.
my book for this year, so.
Yeah. The cover photo is amazing. Dirk Shadd does such a great job, and there's so many good stories in there. And Tracy Johnson edits those things. We've done 3 of these. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? We've done 3 of these now.
In less than a year.
Less than a year. 3 of these coffee table type books, commemorating books. And not for nothing, but they're really nice keepsakes because, again, folks, we're in Tampa Bay. Who knows how long the pixie dust is going to last. But right now, enjoy it, commemorate it, have it to look back on, and you will not regret that at all. It's really a worthwhile endeavor. Check out the Tampa Bay Times, TampaBay.com, actually, sometime tomorrow. I'm working on a story on Monty Kiffin. He is going to have his press conference at the Bucks facility on Wednesday. Monty, of course, was elected to the Bucks Ring of Honor a year ago. On his 80th birthday, they surprised him, but because of COVID, they decided to sort of delay his induction until this season. It's going to happen, I think it's September 19th. It's the second game, first home game against the Atlanta Falcons at halftime. And Monty, who is 81 years young, the guy just never stops. He is going to talk to us at the Bucks facility on Wednesday. I, however, have put together a story, got a lot of Monty stories from his players and coaches. first assistant coach to go into the Ring of Honor, 14th member of that exclusive club. And when you think about assistant coaches, it's really hard for them to get that sort of award, that sort of honor, because it mostly goes to players, and then you might have a head coach, and obviously John Gruden and Tony Dungy are in the Ring of Honor. But Monty's so deserving, and for 14 years he was the Bucs defensive coordinator. In 11 of those seasons, they had a top 10 defense, and I want to say in about 8 of them, they were top 5. I mean, that's a remarkable record of consistency and excellence. I mean, one of the best defenses there ever was. And you say, well, he had all these Hall of Fame players, right? I mean, potentially 4 of them. We know the 3 with Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, and John Lynch is going in this year. You may see Rondé Barber before long, become, the next Hall of Famer off that defense. But Monty was uniquely qualified with his personality, his character, to challenge these guys, put them in the right positions, and he really called out every single guy on that defense. He held them accountable, and that's not an easy thing to do when you're talking about those type of personalities and talents. And he's just a real character of the game. So check out that story on TampaBay.com. Pete Alonso, by the way, has won for the second year in a row.
Breaking news.
Dun, 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 dun. He's won the Home Run Derby for the second year in a row. He's defended his title, the Plant High School product. Took it very seriously and mashed 34 in the first round and beat Trey Mancini, I think,
35. Don't shortchange him. 35.
35. My bad, yeah. And so now he takes home the double bats and the big chain and whatever. But this guy, holy cow, he's a big, strong kid, man.
Oh, is he ever?
He's a big, strong kid that can just wail on it. It's fun to watch him hit. So congratulations to him, Tampa's own. Got to be proud of that.
Absolutely. All we do is win here. Champa Bay.
Champa Bay wins another title, ladies and gentlemen. Pete Alonso bringing the trophy home to Champa Bay.
Can we get another boat parade for that?
Well, I think we could dent this trophy pretty easily. It's just 2 little bats. I mean, that would not last if they can damage the Stanley Cup and toss the Lombardi. Imagine what they could do with this thing. But yeah, so pretty cool for Pete Alonso. Tomorrow on the big program, we're going to have Tom Jones.
No. Tomorrow we're going to do a mailbag.
Oh, tomorrow's
so get your mailbag.
I got it backwards.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. That's
there's no games going on, so let's get your questions. What do you want to know? Bolts, Bucks, Rays.
Well, we got all the
College
answers,
football's coming. Training camp's close. I mean,
It's close. Brother, it's right here. I'm having – this is the time of year where I'm grateful I had a long vacation. I take a lot of vacation because I get a lot of vacation, as Jim Rome would say. But and I do feel refreshed. However, I cannot believe we're going to be like a week away on this weekend from the start of training camp, and then as you know, it's
Is this your last week? Yeah, this weekend will be your last weekend off.
Last weekend off
until the bye week, I guess.
For me, yeah, until the bye week, and that's sometime after Halloween, I think, and then
even Labor Day weekend they don't play, but the cuts are all made then and signed.
Yeah, it's a whole weekend you're working, and they don't have a fourth preseason game, but that week is going to be one where they're just ramping up to the first game and having cuts and things like that. So there won't really be any more weekends off for me. Football is here, and I'm ready for it, but it's a grind, as you all know, and it's come. It just seems like when you win a Super Bowl, this is what I've learned. It's a short off season, or so it seems, and I'm ready. I hope the players are ready, but man, we're going to be out there, and hopefully this year, a lot of us are vaccinated. I hope we don't have to rely on Zoom calls. I know in maybe training camp there'll be some rules. I don't think they're going to open the locker room, which is okay. I hope we get to an open locker room by the regular season. I do think we'll have some press conferences. Chance to stand in front of some players and talk to them.
Jillian Breezeball has a press conference this morning.
Does
it's in person, so
that's great. Yeah, that's great. So things are starting to come around. Obviously, there'll be full stadiums, and that's very exciting, and all of that. There'll be some fans at training camp as well. I think about 2,000 a practice, about 16 practices over there, and they start early in the morning. It'll be nice and cool for you, and they'll be done by noon, which is fantastic. Wish they'd keep that schedule all year, but so that's around the corner. So then we'll have Tom Jones the rest of
he'll be on Thursday's show, and maybe Fridays too. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what we have to talk about. But so Get your questions in. You can do that by sending them to us on Twitter at SportsDayTB. You can send them to me at NFL Stroud, or my email address is rstroud@tampabay.com. Anything you have, all questions answered 100% correctly, or your money back.
By the way, what's happened to USA basketball?
Did they lose again? They lost to Nigeria, right?
Yeah, it's their second consecutive exhibition game. They lost to Australia tonight, 91-83.
I mean, at least Australia has had some players in the past, but really? I mean, I appreciate that LeBron's not playing, but they're NBA players. We invented the sport here, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Should we be rolling over these teams? This is not, for example, Spain or where else do you get good basketball players from?
Well, you got some from France. You get some from
Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, whatever. But
Greece with the Greek Freak.
Yeah, Greece has great basketball. They have professional basketball.
Yeah, Australians expected to contend for the gold in Japan, so they're not a bad team.
They're not a pushover, but still, come on, boys. What's going on here? Who's coaching? I don't even know who's coaching.
It's Popovich, isn't it?
Is it Pop?
I think it is.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
He usually is.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out. But yeah, they need to get going here. It's kind of weird that they're tanking a little bit.
I mean, Damian Lillard's on the team. Kevin Durant.
Oh, they have. Look, they may not have gotten LeBron and some of those guys, but they got plenty of stars. I mean, there's no shortage. They're all NBA players. I mean, come on, they're the best in the world. But they're off to a kind of a shaky start. I'm getting in the NBA playoffs a little bit. The Greek Freak won the other night. Milwaukee, they have tonight Game 4. Mm-hmm. Chance to tie that series, which would be great. I think it'd be great for Milwaukee to win. I don't have anything against the Phoenix Suns. I love their coach, but I think it'd be great for Milwaukee to win this thing. I don't know why. A lot of basketball fans up there I was unaware of, but it's been 50 years since the great
74 was the last time they had won a finals game. 73 or 74 or something.
Lou Alcindor.
Oscar Robertson, I think, was on that team.
The Big O and the guy that then became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was their center, and then went to the Lakers, of course. So, yeah, that's the last time they won an NBA championship, so that would be fun. Anyway, hope you guys stayed safe. I hope you didn't get too wet at the Stanley Cup boat parade. And if you're the one that damaged the cup, well, you should feel pretty bad because now it's going to go back for repairs. But it'll be back on the weekend, and the Lightning will be parading it around town before long. And Stanley's going to stay in Tampa Bay. It's flat Stanley right now. It'll be fixed. Don't worry about it. But enjoy your day. For Steve Verstick, I'm Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.